The chamber was older than most stars in the galaxy. Its walls were made of black stone that seemed to drink in light. Strange symbols covered every surface, carved by hands that had turned to dust millions of years ago. Elder Vorath stood at the center of the room. His gray skin looked almost silver in the dim light. 4 eyes blinked slowly as he studied the ancient text floating before him. The words glowed soft blue, projected from a crystal that had waited in darkness for countless ages. "This cannot be real," said Councilmember Thessa. She was from the Valari race, tall and thin with skin like polished copper. Her voice echoed in the massive chamber. "The old ones left nothing behind. Everyone knows this." "Everyone was wrong," Vorath replied. His voice was deep and carried the weight of his 200 years. "We found this vault buried beneath the dead world of Ashran Prime. The old ones did leave something behind. They left a warning." The other council members moved closer. There were 12 of them, representing the 12 great civilizations of the Galactic Union. They had ruled the stars together for 10,000 years. They had seen empires rise and fall. They had fought wars that burned entire solar systems, but none of them had ever seen anything like this. The ancient text spoke of a prophecy. It told of a species that would come from a small blue world at the edge of the galaxy. A young species, a primitive species, but also a dangerous one. "From the quiet corner of the spiral arm, they will rise," Vorath read aloud. "Born of struggle and fire, shaped by endless war against themselves, they will spread like a flood across the stars, and nothing will stop them. Nothing will contain them. They are the end of the old ways. They are the breaking of all chains." Silence filled the chamber. "Surely this is just myth," said Councilmember Drevin. He was round and soft, with pale blue skin and tiny black eyes. His people, the Morathi, were known for their calm nature, but even he looked worried now. The old ones were wise, but they were not gods. They could not see the future. Could they not? Vorath turned his 4 eyes toward Drevin. "The old ones built machines that still work after 50 million years. They traveled between galaxies as easily as we travel between stars. Who are we to say what they could or could not do? Even if the prophecy is real," Thessa said carefully, "how do we know which species it speaks of? There are millions of inhabited worlds in the galaxy. Thousands of intelligent species. It could mean any of them." Vorath pressed a symbol on the crystal. The text changed. Now it showed a map of the galaxy. A single point of light glowed in the outer arm. "The old ones were very specific," Vorath said. "Third planet from a yellow star. Liquid water on the surface. A single large moon. And the inhabitants matched the description perfectly. 2 arms, 2 legs, soft skin, short lives, and a history of constant violence." "You mean the humans," said Councilmember Rallick. He was the youngest on the council, only 90 years old. His scales were still bright green, not yet faded with age. "I have heard of them. They only discovered faster than light. Travel 50 of their years ago. They are children, compared to us." "Children grow up," Vorath replied, "and these children grow fast, very fast." He changed the display again. Numbers and charts filled the air. They showed human expansion over the past 5 decades. The growth was alarming. What started as 1 world had become 20, then 50, then over 100. "They breed like insects," Vorath continued. "They build like machines, and they fight like demons. In the short time since they reached the stars, they have already conquered 3 hostile species. Not destroyed, conquered. They took their enemies and made them part of their civilization." "That sounds more like diplomacy than violence," Rallick said. "Does it?" Vorath's voice grew cold. "Or does it sound like the beginning of an empire? The old ones saw this coming. They tried to warn us, and now the humans are at our borders, asking to join the Galactic Union." This news caused a stir among the council members. They whispered to each other in worried voices. "When did this happen?" Thessa demanded. 3 days ago. A human ship appeared at Station 12. They sent a single representative. A female named Yuna. She claims to come in peace. She says humanity wants friendship and trade, and you do not believe her, Drevin said. It was not a question. I believe she believes it, Vorath replied. But individuals do not matter. Prophecies speak of species, not persons. The humans may want peace today. But what about tomorrow? What about 100 years from now? What about 1,000? He turned off the display. The chamber fell into deeper darkness. The old ones were the greatest civilization this galaxy has ever known. They mapped every star. They understood every secret of the universe. And they were so afraid of what they saw coming that they abandoned this galaxy entirely. They fled to somewhere else. Somewhere they thought would be safe. And they left this warning for whoever came after them. Vorath walked slowly toward the door. His footsteps echoed like drumbeats. We have a choice to make, he said. We can ignore the prophecy and hope it is wrong. We can welcome the humans and watch them grow stronger every year. We can wait until it is too late. He stopped at the doorway and looked back at the council. Or we can act now, while we still can. While they are still weak. While they are still few. We can stop the prophecy from coming true. You are talking about genocide, Rallick said. His young voice cracked with shock. You want to destroy an entire species because of words written by aliens who died before our ancestors learned to walk. I want to save the galaxy, Vorath replied. But I will not force this decision. We will meet with the human ambassador. We will learn what we can. And then we will vote. That is the way of the council. He left the chamber. The other council members stayed behind, looking at each other with fear in their eyes. Far away, on Station 12, a human woman named Yuna stood at a window. She looked out at the stars with wonder in her eyes. She had traveled farther from home than any human in history. She carried the hopes of her entire species. She had no idea that ancient aliens had predicted her coming millions of years ago. She had no idea that some members of the Galactic Council wanted her people destroyed. She only knew that the stars were beautiful, and that tomorrow she would speak for humanity. She hoped she would find the right words. The council chamber on Station Prime was massive. It could hold 10,000 beings from 100 different species. Today, only the 12 council members sat in their floating chairs. They formed a half circle around a single platform where the human ambassador stood alone. Yuna felt very small. She was 32 years old. Young for a diplomat. Her black hair was tied back in a simple style. She wore the formal uniform of Earth's Space Authority. Dark blue with silver buttons. Her hands were steady, but her heart was beating fast. You may speak, Vorath said. His voice boomed through the chamber like thunder. Yuna took a deep breath. She had practiced this speech 1,000 times. She knew every word by heart. But standing here, facing beings who had traveled the stars when her ancestors still lived in caves, all those words seemed foolish. So she threw away the speech and spoke from her heart instead. I am not going to tell you that humans are peaceful, she began. That would be a lie. Our history is full of war. We have fought each other for land, for resources, for ideas. We have done terrible things to our own kind. The council members looked at each other. This was not what they expected. But we have also done wonderful things, Yuna continued. We have built great cities and created beautiful art. We have explored every corner of our world and then reached for the stars. When disaster strikes, we help each other. When we see suffering, we try to end it. We are not perfect, but we are trying to be better. She stepped forward, closer to the council. I know you are afraid of us. I can see it in your eyes. You have been watching us for years, studying us, wondering what we might become. And I understand that fear. We are different from you. We live short lives but move very fast. We change and grow at a speed that must seem frightening to civilizations as old as yours. Vorath leaned forward in his chair. His 4 eyes were fixed on Yuna with intense focus. But fear is not a reason to reject us, Yuna said. Fear is a reason to know us better. Let us trade with you. Let us learn from you. Let us share what we have learned, not as subjects of your union, but as partners, as equals. She stopped speaking. The chamber was silent. Then, Council Member Rallick began to clap his scaled hands together. It was the gesture of approval among his people. Slowly, other council members joined in. Thessa, Dreven, several others, but not Vorath. "Pretty words," the old counselor said. His voice cut through the applause like a blade. "You speak well, human, but words are easy. Actions tell the truth." He rose from his chair and floated down to the platform where Yuna stood. Up close, he was much larger than her. His gray skin was rough and lined with age. He smelled like old stone and cold metal. "You say humans want peace, but in 50 years, you have conquered 3 species. You have built a fleet of warships larger than any single civilization in the Union. You expand faster than any species we have ever seen. These are not the actions of a peaceful people. The species we conquered attacked us first," Yuna replied. She kept her voice calm, though her heart was pounding. "We defended ourselves, and when we won, we did not destroy them. We welcomed them into our civilization. Today, those same species are our allies, our friends. They chose to stay with us, or they were too afraid to leave." "No," Yuna shook her head firmly. "You do not understand what humans truly want. We do not want to conquer the galaxy. We want to belong to it. For thousands of years, we looked up at the stars and wondered if we were alone. Now we know we are not. Now we know there is a whole universe full of life and wonder, and we want to be part of it." Vorath was quiet for a long moment. Then he turned to face the other council members. "I do not trust her," he said bluntly. "I do not trust any human. But the council must decide together. I call for a vote. Should we accept humanity into the Galactic Union?" The voting began. Each council member pressed a symbol on their chair. Green for yes, red for no. Yuna watched with growing hope as green lights appeared one by one. Rallick voted yes. Thessa voted yes. Dreven voted yes, after a long pause, but then the red lights started appearing too. When the voting ended, the result was displayed in the air above them. 6 green, 6 red. A tie. "It seems we cannot agree," Vorath said. There was satisfaction in his voice. "By the rules of the council, a tie means no action is taken. Humanity will not join the Union. Not today." Yuna felt her hope crumbling. She had come so far. She had tried so hard. And it was not enough. "However," Vorath continued, "the council also cannot agree to reject humanity completely. So we will compromise. The humans will be given a chance to prove themselves. A test." "What kind of test?" Yuna asked carefully. "There is a star system called Vareth 7. It is dying. The star is becoming unstable. In 3 weeks, it will explode. But there are still people living on the 4th planet. A colony of the Kashani people. 8,000 souls. They have ships, but not enough to evacuate everyone. They have called for help, but no one has answered. The system is too dangerous. The radiation is too strong." Vorath smiled. It was not a friendly smile. "You say humans are brave. You say humans help those in need. Prove it. Send your ships to Vareth 7. Save the Kashani. If you succeed, the council will vote again, and next time, I will vote yes." "And if we fail?" Yuna asked. "Then you will have proven that humans are not what you claim to be, and the council will have no reason to trust you." Yuna understood what Vorath was really doing. This was not just a test. It was a trap. The mission was almost impossible. If she accepted and failed, humanity would be shamed. If she refused, humanity would look like cowards. But if she succeeded, "I accept," she said. "On behalf of humanity, I accept your challenge." Vorath's smile faded slightly. He had not expected her to agree so quickly. "Very well. You have 3 weeks. I suggest you move fast." Yuna was already walking toward the door. She pulled out her communication device and began sending messages. She needed ships, she needed crew. She needed a miracle, and she knew exactly who to call. On the human colony world of New Seoul, a man named Taeho was teaching children how to fly model spaceships in a park. He was 40 years old, with gray starting to show in his black hair. His face was weathered by years of service. Old scars marked his hands and arms. His communication device buzzed. He looked at the message, and his eyes went wide. "I have to go," he told the children. "Practice what I taught you." He ran to the nearest transport station. By the time he reached orbit, he was already planning the mission. Captain Taeho of the Earth Defense Fleet had been retired for 3 years. He had fought in 2 wars and led countless rescue missions. He thought his days of danger were over. He was wrong. The fleet gathered at the edge of the Varath system, 12 ships in total. It was all humanity could spare on such short notice. The largest was the carrier Endurance, commanded by Captain Taeho himself. The others were a mix of cargo vessels and rescue shuttles, each one filled with supplies and medical equipment. Taeho stood on the bridge of the Endurance, looking at the distant star. Even from here, he could see that something was wrong. The star pulsed with sickly orange light. Great loops of fire reached out from its surface like grasping fingers. "Report," he said. His second in command was a young woman named Minji. She had volunteered for this mission without hesitation. Her fingers danced across the control panels as she gathered data. "The star is worse than we thought," she said. "Radiation levels are 3 times higher than our initial scans showed. Our shields can handle it, but not for long. We have maybe 18 hours before the damage becomes serious. And the evacuation? 8,000 Kashani on the planet's surface. Their ships can carry about 2,000. We can fit another 4,000 in our cargo holds if we pack them tight. That still leaves 2,000 with no ride home." Taeho nodded slowly. He had expected this. The Council had not given them an impossible mission by accident. "Then we make more room," he said. "Strip everything non-essential from the cargo holds. Emergency supplies only. We can worry about comfort later." "Captain," said another crew member, a quiet man named Junho, who handled communications. "I am receiving a transmission from the planet. The Kashani leader wants to speak with you." "Put it through." The main screen flickered. A face appeared. The Kashani were beautiful creatures, with golden skin and large dark eyes. This one was female, and she looked exhausted. Her name appeared on the screen, Governor Solani. "Human Captain," she said. Her voice was weak but dignified. "You came. We did not expect anyone to come." "We are here to help," Taeho replied. "Start loading your people onto your ships. We will send shuttles to pick up everyone else." "How much time do we have before the star becomes critical?" "The scientists say 12 hours. Maybe less. The flares are getting worse. Each one kills the power grid for minutes at a time. We cannot keep the emergency shelters running much longer." Taeho did the math in his head. 12 hours to evacuate 8,000 people. It would be close. Very close. "We will make it work," he said. "Just keep your people calm and ready to move." The screen went dark. Taeho turned to his crew. "You heard her. 12 hours. Launch all shuttles. I want every pilot flying continuous runs between the ships and the surface. No breaks. No rest. Until everyone is on board." The crew moved into action. Within minutes, the first shuttles were dropping through the poisoned atmosphere toward the planet below. Taeho watched them go. He felt the weight of 8,000 lives pressing down on him. The first few hours went smoothly. The shuttles landed at the evacuation points. Kashani families climbed aboard, carrying only what they could hold in their arms. Children cried. Parents whispered words of comfort. The golden-skinned aliens looked at their human rescuers with a mixture of fear and hope. But then the problem started. A massive solar flare erupted from the dying star. The wave of radiation hit the planet like a hammer. 3 shuttles were caught in the open. Their shields held, but barely. The pilots reported damage to their navigation systems. "Bring them back," Taeho ordered. "We need to repair them before we can send them out again." "That will cost us 2 hours, Minji warned. "I know. But dead pilots cannot save anyone." Another flare hit an hour later. This one was bigger. The Endurance shook as its shields absorbed the impact. Warning lights flickered across every console. Shield strength down to 60%, Junho reported. We cannot take many more of those. On the planet, things were getting worse. The power grid failed completely. The emergency shelters went dark. Thousands of Kashani were now standing in the open, exposed to the deadly radiation leaking through the atmosphere. Governor Solani called again. Her face was pale with fear. The shelters are dead. My people are dying. You have to move faster. We are moving as fast as we can, Tejo said. Get everyone to the landing zones. We will pick them up directly. There is no time. The next flare will kill us all. Tejo made a decision. It was crazy. It was dangerous. But it was the only way. All ships, move into low orbit. Get as close to the planet as you can. We are going to do this in one run. Captain, Minji said carefully, if another flare hits while we are that close, our shields will not hold. Then we better be fast. The human fleet dove toward the planet. The radiation screamed against their shields. Metal groaned under the stress. On the bridge of the Endurance, Tejo gripped his chair with white knuckles. Below, thousands of Kashani looked up and saw the human ships filling the sky. They had never seen anything like it. 12 vessels, burning through the poison air, coming to save them. The shuttles launched all at once. 40 small craft, each one racing toward a different group of survivors. Pilots pushed their engines beyond safe limits. Some of them were crying. Some of them were praying. All of them kept flying. 5 minutes to the next flare, Junho announced. His voice was shaking. The shuttles touched down. Kashani poured into them like water. Families were split apart in the rush. Children screamed for parents. The pilots shouted for everyone to move faster, faster. There was no time. 4 minutes. The first shuttles lifted off, packed so full that people were sitting on the floor, pressed against the walls, holding onto anything they could find. They raced back toward the ships. 3 minutes. More shuttles launched. The last groups of survivors ran toward the remaining craft. Governor Solani was among them, helping an old woman who could barely walk. 2 minutes. The final shuttle was loaded. The pilot, a young man named Do-hyun, had never flown a real mission before today. His hands were steady on the controls. He lifted off and pushed the engines to maximum. 1 minute. The fleet pulled away from the planet. Shields flared as they climbed through the radiation zone. The star pulsed with terrible light. 30 seconds. Do-hyun's shuttle docked with the Endurance. The airlock sealed just as the flare erupted. The wave of radiation washed over the fleet. Shields flickered and died on 2 ships. Hull plating melted on 3 others. The Endurance lost power for 10 terrifying seconds, but they survived. When the lights came back on, Tejo allowed himself to breathe. Report, he whispered. Minji checked her screens. Tears were running down her face. All ships accounted for. All shuttles recovered. 8,217 Kashani evacuated. Plus 300 humans. No fatalities. The bridge erupted in cheers. Crew members hugged each other. Someone was laughing and crying at the same time. Tejo did not celebrate. He just leaned back in his chair and closed his eyes. Take us home, he said. Far away, on Station Prime, Vorath watched the reports come in. He had been so certain the humans would fail. He had counted on it. But they had not failed. They had done the impossible. And now he had to keep his promise. Unless he found another way. The council chamber was full of celebration. Representatives from every species were there, cheering for the humans who had saved the Kashani. Governor Solani stood beside Ambassador Yuna, holding her hand like a sister. The 2 women smiled at each other with genuine warmth. You saved my people, Solani said. We will never forget. We did what anyone would do, Yuna replied. But that was not true. No one else had come. The council had heard the Kashani's call for help, and they had done nothing. Only the humans had answered. Only the humans had risked their lives for strangers. The other council members saw this. They understood what it meant. When the vote came, 11 hands rose for yes. Humanity would join the Galactic Union. Only Vorath voted no. After the ceremony, Yuna found Captain Tejo standing alone on an observation deck. He was looking out at the stars. His face tired but peaceful. "You did an incredible thing," Yuna said. Tejo shrugged. "I just followed orders. You gave me a mission. I completed it. You almost died. Your whole fleet almost died. For people you had never met. That is what humans do," Tejo said simply. "We help each other. Even when it is hard. Even when it is dangerous. Maybe especially when it is dangerous." Yuna smiled. "You make us sound better than we are. Maybe. Or maybe you do not give us enough credit." They stood together in comfortable silence, watching the stars. Neither of them knew that their moment of peace was about to end. 3 weeks later, the first attack came. A human colony on the planet Haywan was struck without warning. Ships appeared from nowhere, burning with weapons that left nothing alive. The colony had 5,000 people. In 20 minutes, they were all gone. Yuna received the news while meeting with council member Thessa. Her face went pale. "Who did this?" she demanded. "We do not know yet," Thessa said carefully. "The attackers left no identification. Their ships were unmarked. Someone murdered 5,000 humans, and you do not know who?" Before Thessa could answer, more reports came in. A second colony attacked. Then a third. Human ships were being destroyed across the border regions. The attackers always came fast, hit hard, and vanished before anyone could respond. Yuna ran to the council chamber. The other representatives were already there, arguing in loud voices. Vorath sat quietly in his chair, watching the chaos with calm eyes. "Someone is killing my people," Yuna shouted, "and the council does nothing." "We are investigating," Vorath said. His voice was smooth like oil. "These attacks are terrible. But we cannot act without proof of who is responsible." "Then find proof." "We are trying, but it takes time." Yuna stared at him. Something about his calm bothered her. He did not seem surprised by the attacks. He did not seem worried at all. "You know something," she said slowly. "I know many things. You know who is doing this." Vorath said nothing. But his 4 eyes flickered with something that might have been satisfaction. The attacks continued. Human worlds burned. Ships vanished. Thousands became tens of thousands. Became hundreds of thousands. Earth demanded answers. The council offered only delays and excuses. Finally, the truth came out. A damaged attack ship was captured by a human patrol. The crew was dead, but the ship's computers were intact. When the data was recovered, it told a terrible story. The attackers were not pirates. They were not some unknown enemy. They were ships from the Galactic Union itself. Ships that had been secretly given to mercenaries. Ships that had been paid for by council member Vorath. Yuna brought the evidence to the council. She played the recordings for everyone to hear. Vorath's voice giving orders. Vorath's money paying for weapons. Vorath's plan to destroy humanity before the prophecy could come true. "You murdered hundreds of thousands of innocent people," Yuna said. Her voice was shaking with rage. "Children, families, people who only wanted to live in peace. And you did it because of words written by aliens who died before you were born." Vorath rose from his chair. He showed no shame, no regret, only cold certainty. "I did what was necessary," he said. "The prophecy is clear. Humans will destroy everything we have built. I tried to stop it peacefully. I gave you a test that should have been impossible. But you passed. You proved that you are exactly what the old ones warned us about. So you decided to kill us instead. I decided to save the galaxy. And I am not finished." He pressed a button on his chair. Alarms screamed throughout the station. The lights turned red. "While you were busy celebrating, I gathered my forces," Vorath said. "The ships outside this station are loyal to me. The soldiers in the halls are loyal to me. And in 1 hour, a fleet of 2,000 warships will attack Earth itself. Yuna felt the floor drop away beneath her. You cannot do this. The council will stop you. The council is old and weak. They talk while others act. By the time they decide what to do, it will be over. He walked toward the door, surrounded by armed guards. Do not feel bad, human. You fought well. Your species simply came too late. The future belongs to those who are willing to do whatever it takes to survive. He left. Yuna stood alone in the council chamber, surrounded by alien faces that looked as shocked as she felt. Then she straightened her spine. She pulled out her communication device. Captain Taeho, this is Ambassador Yuna. We have a situation. Far away, on the bridge of the Endurance. Taeho listened to the report. His crew watched him with worried eyes. They had been heroes 3 weeks ago. Now they might be all that stood between Earth and destruction. How many ships do we have? Taeho asked. Minji checked her screens. Including the home defense fleet, maybe 300. Against 2,000. The odds are. I know what the odds are. Taeho stood up. His voice was calm, but his eyes burned with determination. Contact every ship we have. Military, civilian, anything that can fly and fight. Tell them the enemy is coming. Tell them Earth needs them. What are we going to do, Captain? Taeho looked at the stars. He thought about the Keshani. He thought about the children he had taught to fly model ships in the park. He thought about everything humanity had built and dreamed and hoped for. We are going to show them what happens when you threaten our home, he said. We are going to show them why the old ones were afraid of us. The prophecy spoke of humans shaking the foundations of the galaxy. It was about to come true. The battle for Earth was the largest in galactic history. Vorath's fleet of 2,000 ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel just beyond the moon. They formed a wall of metal and weapons, each vessel bristling with cannons that could crack planets. At the center was Vorath's flagship, the Eternal Judgment, a monster of a ship 5 kilometers long. Against them stood 312 human vessels. Some were warships. Some were cargo haulers with weapons bolted onto their hulls. Some were private yachts whose owners had refused to run away. They formed a thin line between the enemy and the blue world they called home. Taeho stood on the bridge of the Endurance. His crew was quiet. Everyone knew this might be their last day alive. Captain, Minji said softly, they outnumber us 6-1. Our shields cannot match theirs. Our weapons cannot pierce their armor. By every measure, we should lose. I know. So what do we do? Taeho smiled. It was a tired smile. But there was no fear in it. We fight anyway. Because that is what humans do. We do not give up. We do not surrender. Even when the odds are impossible, we keep fighting. And sometimes, we win. The communication system crackled. Vorath's face appeared on the screen. His 4 eyes gleamed with triumph. Human Captain, you have one chance to save your species. Surrender now, and I will spare some of you. Enough to serve as workers for the Union. Refuse, and Earth dies today. I will dead, the workers on this catting the sea. I will spare some of you. Let me tell you something about humans, Taeho replied. Our history is full of moments like this. Times when we faced enemies stronger than us. Times when everyone said we would lose. But we never gave up. We never surrendered, and we are still here. He leaned forward. You want Earth? Come and take it. He cut the transmission. Then he opened a channel to every human ship in the fleet. All vessels, this is Captain Taeho. Today we face the greatest threat our species has ever known. The enemy is stronger. The enemy has more ships. The enemy thinks we will fall. But they are wrong. They have seen our kindness and mistaken it for weakness. They have seen our compassion and thought it made us soft. Today, we show them the truth. Today, we show them why the old ones feared us. He took a deep breath. For Earth, for humanity, attack. The human fleet surged forward. Small ships darted between the larger enemy vessels, too fast to target. The Endurance led the main assault, its weapons blazing. Explosions filled the space around Earth like fireworks. The enemy fought back. Human ships were destroyed by the dozen. The thin line grew thinner. But they kept fighting. They kept pushing. And slowly, impossibly, they began to win. Vorath watched in disbelief as his fleet fell apart. The humans should have been crushed in minutes. Instead, they were tearing through his forces like wolves through sheep. They fought with a fury he had never seen. They died, but they kept coming. For every human ship destroyed, 3 enemy ships went down with it. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "They are outnumbered. They are outgunned. How are they doing this?" His officers had no answer. On the Endurance, Tejo saw an opening. The enemy flagship was exposed. Its escorts had been pulled away to deal with the swarming human fighters. Minji. "Target the Eternal Judgment. All weapons. Our weapons cannot pierce its shields, Captain." Then we go through the shields. He pushed the engines to maximum. The Endurance shot forward like a bullet, heading straight for Vorath's ship. "Captain, if we hit them at this speed, we will not survive." "I know." The crew looked at each other. No one tried to stop him. No one asked to leave. They understood. Some things were worth dying for. The Eternal Judgment grew larger on the screen. Vorath's face appeared again, his eyes wide with sudden fear. "You are insane. You will kill yourself." "Maybe," Tejo replied. "But I will kill you too." The impact never came. At the last moment, another fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel. 50 ships bearing the symbols of the Galactic Union. Real Union ships, not Vorath's corrupted forces. Council member Thessa's voice filled the communication channel. "This is the legitimate authority of the Galactic Union. Vorath, you are under arrest for treason, mass murder, and crimes against sentient life. Surrender immediately." Around the battlefield, Vorath's forces began to stop fighting. They were mercenaries and fanatics. But they were not willing to die for a lost cause. One by one, they powered down their weapons. Vorath screamed with rage. He tried to escape, but his own crew turned against him. They dragged him from his command chair and locked him in a cell. The battle was over. Earth was saved. 3 days later, the council met one final time to decide Vorath's fate. The chamber was packed with observers from every species. The Kashani were there. The races that Vorath had tried to manipulate were there. And the humans were there, standing proud despite everything they had lost. Yuna spoke for humanity. "We did not come to the stars looking for enemies," she said. "We came looking for friends. We came hoping to find others who share our dreams of peace and discovery. Vorath tried to destroy us because an ancient prophecy said we would change the galaxy. He was right about one thing. We will change it. But not through war. Not through conquest. Through compassion. Through courage. Through the simple belief that every life matters." She looked around the chamber. "The Kashani know this. We risked everything to save them. Because it was the right thing to do. We fought today not because we wanted war, but because we had no choice. Given any other option, we would have chosen peace. We will always choose peace. That is who we are." The council voted. Vorath was found guilty on all charges. He would spend the rest of his long life in prison, watching the galaxy change into something he feared. And it did change. In the years that followed, humans spread across the stars not as conquerors, but as healers. They built hospitals on worlds that had never known medicine. They taught farming to species that had lived on the edge of starvation. They stood beside the weak and faced down the strong. Other species watched this and were amazed. The prophecy had said humans would break the old ways. It had said they would spread like a flood. It had said nothing would stop them. The old ones had been right about all of this. But they had been wrong about what it meant. Humans did not destroy the galaxy. They saved it. On the anniversary of the battle, Tejo returned to New Seoul. He went back to the same park where he had taught children to fly model ships. Some of those children were grown now. Some of them had fought beside him. A young Kashani boy ran up to him. He was golden-skinned and bright-eyed. One of the refugees from Verath 7, who now called this world home. "Are you really Captain Tejo?" the boy asked. "The one who saved my grandmother?" Tejo knelt down to meet his eyes. I am just a man who did his job. But yes, I was there. Will you teach me to fly? Tejo smiled. He looked up at the sky, at the stars that had seemed so far away when he was young. Now they were full of friends and allies, beings who had once feared humanity, and now walked beside them. Come on, he said. I will teach you everything I know. The boy's golden face lit up with joy. Together, human and alien, they walked toward the future. The prophecy had come true. Just not the way anyone expected. And that, perhaps, was the most human thing of all.